Today we are going to study about the mechanism of goods and services tax, or how actually GST works. Before knowing how GST works, we need to know what is actually goods and service tax. Now, goods and service tax is an indirect tax which is levied by the government on the supply of various goods and services. Now, why GST is known as indirect tax? Because we do not pay GST directly to the government, but we pay GST indirectly to the government with the help of various middlemen as well as intermediaries. Now, this GST came into effect from 1st July 2017, and this is a very new concept. Now, how actually GST works will be explained to you with the help of 4 parties. Let us come to the parties. There are 4 parties I have written. First one is the manufacturer, second is the wholesaler, third one is the retailer, and the fourth one is the consumer. Now, suppose the GST rate prevailing in the industry or prevailing in the country is 10%. Now, this is just the assumption which we are making. This is not actually the rate which is being followed. For example, the manufacturer is manufacturing blades. Now, this manufacturer will give this blade to the wholesaler. Now, for example, the manufacturer is selling the blade to the wholesaler at the rate of rupees 50. Now, GST rate being 10%, what is the amount which the wholesaler needs to pay to the manufacturer? It will be rupees 55. Now, out of this 55, rupees 5 is the GST amount which the manufacturer has actually received. This rupees 5 will be given to the government, rupees 5. Now, this is clear. Now, after this we come to the wholesaler. Now, wholesaler will do certain packaging or certain addition to this to the product which the manufacturer has given, and the wholesaler will be giving it or selling it to the retailer. Suppose the wholesaler is selling it at the price of rupees 70. Now, GST rate being 10%, the retailer will be paying rupees 77 to the wholesaler. Now, we need to decide what is the amount of tax which the wholesaler is needed to pay to the government. Now, we need to be very clear that the wholesaler will not pay rupees 7 to the government. Instead, the wholesaler will be paying 7 minus 5 equal to 2, that is rupees 2 to the government. Now, what is actually this? This process which we have done is known as ITC, that is input tax credit. Input tax credit is the process, or it is the opportunity which is given to the supplier to deduct the tax which he has already paid when he has purchased the product. Now, I will tell you, rupees 7 is known as output tax. Output tax means the tax which he has received while selling the product. And coming to rupees 5 is that tax which the wholesaler has paid to the manufacturer while purchasing the product. So, 7 minus 5, whatever will be the remaining amount, that remaining amount will be given to the government. This is very important. This is known as input tax credit, where output tax is the tax which is received by the seller, and input tax is the tax which the seller has paid when he purchased the product. So, this is done. Now, coming to the retailer part, again the retailer will do certain addition to the product which he has bought from the wholesaler, and after doing that he will sell it to the consumer. Suppose he is selling it at the rate of rupees 100. Now, GST rate being 10%, the consumer will be paying rupees 110. But now again we need to decide that what is the amount of GST which the retailer will be paying to the government. Now, retailer will not pay rupees 10 to the government. Instead, the retailer will pay 10 minus 7 equal to 3 to the government. Now, why 3? Because retailer while purchasing the product, he has paid rupees 7 as GST. So, since he has paid rupees 7 as GST amount, that he will take it back, and after taking it back, the total amount comes to 3, which is the remaining value, and this will be paid to the government. Now, we come to the consumer. Now, consumer is paying rupees 10 as GST. Do you think he will receive it from anyone? No, of course not, because when we study GST, we always know that the ultimate burden of tax, the ultimate payer of tax is the consumer. So you will get a line whenever you study GST that the ultimate burden of GST falls upon the consumer. The person who consumes the product will be paying the total amount of GST. Now coming to the first part, that is manufacturer. Do you think manufacturer is paying any tax from his own pocket? Of course no, because the rupees 5 which he is paying it from the pocket of the wholesaler. So he is not paying any tax. Coming to the wholesaler, do you think wholesaler is paying any tax from his pocket? Of course no, because the amount of tax which he has paid to the manufacturer, he has already deducted it, he has taken it back, and the remaining amount which he has given to the government, that he has got from the retailer. Coming to the retailer, again retailer is paying rupees 3 to the government, nothing from his pocket, because the 7 rupees which he has paid to the wholesaler, he has taken it back, and the remaining amount which he is giving to the government, that he has taken from the consumer. Now consumer, coming to the consumer is paying rupees 10 as GST, and no one is going to give it to the consumer. Since he is the ultimate consumer of the product, he will be bearing the ultimate burden of paying GST amount. So this is how actually GST works. We need to be very clear about ITC, that is input tax credit. We need to know about output tax, and we need to know about input tax. Just a little revision what we have done. When we talk about input tax credit, ITC, that is input tax credit, is the opportunity which the seller is having to take back the amount of tax which he has already paid while he has purchased the product. Here just a revision, here we have said that rupees 10 he has received from the consumer, but since while purchasing he has paid rupees 7, what he will do, he will deduct that 7 from the total amount which he has received, and the remaining value he will be paying to the government. Here rupees 10 is the output tax, it is the tax which is paid, which is received while selling the product, and rupees 7 is the tax which he has paid while he has purchased the product. So this is how actually GST works. Now there are certain concepts which I need to say. We will come to know about CGST, SGST, IGST and UGST. This is just a mere calculation which I have shown how actually GST is done. This rupees 5 which we are saying, this is again divided into two parts, central and the state. The tax which the central government will get is known as CGST. Now the amount of tax which the government is getting, for example here rupees 5, that is divided into two parts. The amount which the central government gets is known as CGST, that is Central Goods and Service Tax, and the amount which the state government will get, that is known as SGST, that is State Goods and Service Tax. We need to be very careful that CGST and SGST are equal. If the rate of tax is 10%, 5% will go to the state government and 5% will go to the central government. Okay, now we are going to start with components of goods and service tax. Now there are basically 4 components of goods and service tax. One is CGST, one is SGST, third one is IGST, and last one is UGST, which we also say at UTGST. Now the full form of CGST is Central Goods and Service Tax, SGST stands for State Goods and Service Tax, IGST stands for Integrated Goods and Service Tax, and UGST stands for Union Goods and Service Tax. Now what actually they are? Now coming to CGST and SGST, first of all we need to know about two concepts, which is intra and inter. There are two terms, intra-transaction and interstate transaction. When we talk about intrastate transaction, that means the transactions which are happening within one state. And when we talk about interstate transaction, those are those transactions which are happening between two different states. Now intra and inter is very important to know the concept of the components of GST. So when we talk about intra-state transaction, inter-state transactions are those transactions which are happening within one state. Whenever those transactions happen, if there is any supply of goods and services, we need to pay GST, and when we pay GST, that GST is divided into two parts, SGST and CGST. That means if the rate of GST is, for example, 9%, then 4.5% will go to central goods and service tax and 4.5% will go to state goods and service tax. That means central will take the half part and the state government will take the other part. Now coming to interstate transactions. When we talk about interstate transaction, these are those transactions which are happening between two different states. Now whenever this happens, we don't pay SGST or CGST. What we pay is we pay integrated goods and service tax. When we talk about interstate transactions are those transactions which happen between two different states. Now whenever there is any supply of goods and services between two different states, we don't pay SGST or CGST. What we pay is IGST, that is integrated goods and service tax. Last one is your UGST, that means union goods and service tax, which is also known as UTGST. Now this will only come when there is supply of goods and services between union territories. If there is any union territory which is dealing or which is linked with the supply of goods and services, then we will not be paying SGST, CGST or IGST. What we will pay is we will pay UGST. So these are the four basic components where we need to know intrastate transaction, interstate transaction. Now whenever there is intrastate transaction, we need to be very sure that we are paying SGST and CGST. Whenever there is interstate transaction, that is transaction between two different states, we will pay IGST, and if there is any transaction which is happening between union territory, then we will pay UGST, that is union goods and service tax. Thank you.